members of our Congress, you will always have within our government those that are above the law. Hey, it's me, and I want to recap the midterms, which I really see as a GOP win and a win for Trump, because even though the Dems got control of the House, we won everything else. We had a red wave in the Senate, a lot of new governors, which nobody was expecting. And sure, Dems got the House, but if you really look at it, Dems got the House seats back that they lost because of trickle in very liberal areas where they hate Trump. So it's like natural that they flip back to a default setting, because trickle is history. And these are liberal areas, liberal House seats. So it's kind of like how they went back to their original setting. It's not something that indicates any type of a blue wave. It's just kind of like an adjustment. Because trickle really was that terrible that we flipped a lot of House seats. But that was not a normal situation, as you can understand. And it's also not a normal situation to have a triple, meaning the presidency, the Senate, and the House. So 2 out of 3 ain't bad, because having the Senate is really what matters. I mean, that's the power center in Congress, not little House Democrats. I mean, they're going to act like psychos, but they don't really have that much power. And it's a short 2 years, or a year if you really count 2020 as an election year. And if they embarrass themselves, then in 2020, the House is going to go GOP again. So Dems have a chance to do some good or to act like psychos. It's up to them. I don't even care. And as it goes for judges, you don't need the House for that. It's only the Senate doing it. And don't forget, you have very powerful committees in the Senate, the Intel Committee and the others. So if they start investigating, then a lot of Democrats could get in trouble. So these people should not bait us into doing that, because they will end up on the losing end of these investigations. As you know, they have a lot to hide. But I will tell you that the places where Trump went, they really did great. I mean, this guy is unbelievable. It's true, he cannot be everywhere, unfortunately. And it's sad that not too many people in the GOP were campaigning a lot. Paul Ryan went to Texas and whatnot. But, you know, Pete Sessions lost in Texas. And Scott Walker lost in Wisconsin. I mean, it's heartbreaking. Keith Ellison became Attorney General. That's insane. But Beto lost. But then again, he got 3 million votes. And that really makes me worry about the future. And Florida was saved, also because of Trump. And Choco has no coattails. I mean, he went there and all the cocaine in the world could not save little Choco. He's just not popular. And even liberals now know he's an empty suit. And Gulam lost. Nelson lost. And yeah, I pretended to be freaked out when the returns first came in Florida. But those that know me know that in 2016, I called Florida for Trump, even halfway in, because of the panhandle. So everybody knows I was just trolling. And I even said, since weeks ago, that Golem is not going to win in Florida. And you have a lot of fake polls, you know, in Tennessee and Florida, Texas. All the polls were fake. Even Jake Tapper of CNN had to admit it, that once again the polls were wrong and that there was no blue wave. And it's true. And even Van Jones was so sad, saying that he was heartbroken, that there was no blue wave. And good. In essence, the GOP won the midterms. It was kind of like a red wall, because, you know, those House seats going back to Democrats, I mean, these are liberal cities and areas. It's almost natural. I mean, it would be crazy to keep them. I don't think it's a victory for Dems. They just got back some of their original seats, and that's not a big deal. It really isn't. But I really do see the Senate as being very powerful now, with Mitch McConnell. I mean, you saw this guy. It's because of him we have 2 Supreme Court justices. He really knows how to play these dim-dems. So now he's going to have an army of 55, maybe even 56 senators. I mean, it's going to be great. And so, of course, the House cannot do anything without Senate approval when it comes to bills. But don't underestimate Donald Trump, the Trump rule, because he will try to make some deals with dim-dems about infrastructure or something like that. And it's possible to work with these dim-dems, but if they investigate too much or act like psychos, then you can use that as leverage to get more out of them in a deal. And so I completely defer to Trump. It's going to be okay. And I don't have any worries, as I mentioned, even last week. It's not a big deal. And so to see anybody on our side melting down like a snowflake or something, I mean, that's not who we are. Okay, it's just a little obstacle. Dim-dems have the House. But like I said, it's not usual to have the triple, the presidency, the Senate, and the House. And I believe that we really took advantage of it. Got 2 Supreme Court justices, got amazing tax cuts, and we gutted Obamacare, and we got rid of a lot of problems in a very short time. And don't forget, President Trump can still use executive orders in these coming 2 years. So the power in Washington hasn't changed. I mean, dim-dems just got like 5% of power. Okay, great. From 0 to 5%. Congratulations, dim-dems. And, don't spend it all in one place. But President Trump is a machine, a force of nature. I mean, he just made sure that Claire McCaskill was massacred. He saved Florida. Now you will notice that dim-dems, they already have California locked, and New York, and they're going for Florida and Texas. Because if they have those 4 locked, they will win every election because of the Electoral College. And as you can see, the south of Florida is turning into little New York, and the south of Texas, it's like little Mexico. And I really worry about that. And I also worry about the population in general. Maybe it's, recent foreign arrivals and the offspring, and there's no assimilation. They come in with socialist views, or they're more likely to accept socialism or a European-style model of government. I mean, they don't have that Americanism in them, and that part of the population is really growing, and many of them are retarded. They don't vote based on interest. They vote on image. For example, Beto. I mean, he's a dumbass. I mean, he's dumb, but he looks like energetic and young, and the buck teeth, and it kind of looks like Robert Kennedy, and that makes them so excited. And he loses after all the hype, and then right away dim-dems are like, well, he could run for president. Based on what? Based on what? Well, it's true that, they're very hard up to have anybody that can draw a crowd. But this guy, you saw him in his concession speech. He dropped the F-bomb. I mean, but that's okay. I don't really worry about dim-dems at the moment. But in the future, especially without Trump, we have a big problem in our nation. And these demographics, I mean, they're not going to change unless we start with mass deportation and death camps, which I guess won't happen. But it's not about race. It's not about the coloring of America. It's about ideology. It's about the left wing. I mean, it's like an infestation, and it's growing, and you can't stop it. It's people, right? And the media is so liberal. We have a lot of trouble dealing with it, because it's not that they convince people on our side, it's that they convince people on their side and then they go out to vote. That's the problem. And we cannot even understand why people would vote in complete idiots like Maxine Waters or, Alexandria Cortez Octavio. I mean, a retard. And when you hear them talking, they don't care about borders, they're against law enforcement, and they want everything for free, they don't know how to pay for it, and they don't care about details, and they don't care about the sovereignty of our nation or security, or they don't even understand economics. They want to tax the hell out of people, and they're like phantoms from the past. And the problem is not that these politicians are out there. The problem is that they're getting votes from a large section in our population. And the worst of it is that this comes from the so-called educated people, which means that even intelligent people or educated people can be dumb and programmed. And that's really another sign that our educational system is so liberal, so completely controlled. That's what we're pumping out. Liberal bots. And these people have intelligence, so how can they be that dumb and so anti-USA? It's really unbelievable how any educated person could vote for Beto or Alexandria. I mean, it's just insane. But then again, they look at our side and they think DeSantis is like Himmler, President Trump is Hitler, and Rick Scott is like Goering. I mean, that's how they look at us. They cannot understand that there are people in our nation that would vote for somebody like Ron DeSantis. I mean, like he's evil. So it goes both ways, but I will tell you, it's because they're that far on the left. Whereas we are kind of like in the middle. We're not extreme right or anything. We're just about common sense. But if you're on the far left and you're radical, common sense is extreme. And that's a problem we're having in our nation. And like I said, it's about people and demographics, and it's hard to stop. And you can see that the infestation is growing, even in the South. And as you saw in Texas, I mean, it's a real danger. But right now we have Trump, and we don't have to worry about anything, at least